Hey guys, we're back for another episode of Overdrive with Nick Reich. Post NRRA finals, big weekend, buddy. There's a lot to unpack after this. I'm going to let you guide us today, wherever you want to start, whatever you want to tell us. Man,
Oh,
what a weekend! What a freaking weekend!
I don't. I mean, well, I guess I could start with saying I felt better before.
Yeah.
I'm not at the. I'm not at the. As much as I told myself not to look at the points and look at the where I'm at and all that, I can't help but still feel rough about everything. Um, but I think that's just the competitiveness in me.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, and that's why you're there. I mean, in the end of everything, that's the whole point of the competition is what it is. But I mean, stuff happens, and we'll get to that. I'm assuming. But take us through. I guess take us through the weekend, man. You started out the going into this event. You were up by just a what 3 or 4 points? Not many, was it?
Um, 11 points
11 points.
up on Hill 1, before we started Hill 1. Hill 1, when it went into that, confident, everything like that. Um, had my buggy set up. I mean, it was as good as could be. I had a little issue when I got to the park. When I unloaded it, the buggy was sitting sideways, and I didn't know why because I just had completely rebuilt and went through my struts. Um, so I was a little overwhelmed with that. I ended up breaking my struts down and going through them and then airing them up and depressurizing them, trying a bunch of different things. I actually drained some oil out of them, trying to get them to sit correctly, and disconnected my sway bar, all that, trying to get my machine to set level. Never really did figure out exactly what was going on there or why, but I did get it better.
Huh.
Got that taken care of, but that was that was a feeling I haven't experienced as I really, up to this point, I've never went into a fight or a race with something that I wasn't 100% on. So that was something new for me there. And then so that was in the back of my head. Anyway, going into race 1, we take off on race 1, feeling really good right away. I felt that the suspension was, I was happy with it. Come into the first corner, make the corner, start going up the hill. I'm about halfway up the hill, carrying a good pace, happy so far, and I start reaching for my rear steer, and I have my shift lever, and then I have my rear steer lever, and I'm reaching for my rear steer, and I have a big custom button on the top. It's like a shark fin, and it's almost impossible to miss because it sticks up 1 inch, and I grab the rear steer and I can't find the button, and I'm trying to figure out what is going on there, and I cannot find the button. I can't find the button. I can't find the button. So I get over. I actually look over there because I think my hand's on the wrong shifter, and I realize it's not on the wrong shifter, and there's no button there. The button is gone.
Oh no.
And at that very moment, I have to start turning. So I just go for my turn and make my turn, and I mean, I messed it all up. It was really wide, didn't hit my spot where I needed to be, and I lost my focus there for a little bit. Now I'm coming down the hill, and I had lost my focus, and I'm trying to figure out what to do because I don't have my rear steer. And I'm coming down the hill, kind of bouncing all over, trying to keep my focus on driving instead of about thinking about this rear steer. And I get to the bottom of the hill, and I grab for the rear steer again, already just forgetting about that it was completely gone. And I'm grabbing for it again and realize it's not there. And something happened where the rear tires had moved, and I just pushed hard, and I felt something dig into my thumb, and the tires turned. So I messed that turn up too, but the rear steer, I did get it to turn. Coming back up, I realized that there's something there that I could feel because it stabbed into my thumb. Well, it was the tiny little metal screw. It's I don't know what size it is, but it's extremely small. It's like a pencil lead, but that was sticking up. So when I got to the top the next time, I just dug that into my finger and used that to turn and got my next turn. And coming down, made it through the course, and I don't know how many more times I had to use rear steer. I think it was only 3 times, but none of those turns were good turns or fast turns. So come back into the pits and obviously had a little bit of a emotions, get the best of me because I was like, what am I gonna do? I gotta have this button. And then once I settled down, I actually called Stasworks and the company that manufactures it and had built me all these custom buttons, and they didn't answer. But almost the moment that it started ringing, I realized they had built me a bunch of them, and I had them with me. And you know what I mean? Then all the adrenaline started to
Yeah.
cease, and I could think clearly. Knew that I had the parts, and this wasn't a big deal. And Matt Holt's dad come over right away, picked me up, run me back to the truck. We dug, found a new button. He got me some super glue and fixed it. Okay, that was round one, and I really thought I threw away round one. I thought it was bad because of how bad I messed up those corners. Now, obviously seeing the times, I guess it wasn't that bad at all, and I kind of overdid it in my head.
Yeah,
It really wasn't that bad a run.
I'm looking here. I think Wade won, Hill won, and you got 42 points, which would have put you in
Fourth
fourth
place.
place. Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, I thought I threw it away, and I was nowhere near that. In fact, when I looked at the run, it other than the corners being wide, it didn't look like it made a major difference.
No, it was a 90-second run to a 97. So I mean, with no rear steer, I mean, for the most part, yeah, that's not horrible at all.
So yeah, that was run one. Kind of went through everything there. I made some compression changes on my suspension because I was pushing so hard. I had bottomed the thing out multiple times, and I just thought, well, let's tighten her up, see how that feels. So I tightened it up. Hill 2, feeling a lot better, a lot more confident. I was really relieved about fixing that, getting that button on there, and that I had one and everything like that. Took off on Hill 2, flying through the course. Things felt really good. I felt really fast. I was right on the edge of overdriving on a regular basis, and I was like, I was fighting with myself either to back off just a little bit to reel it in, and then I was like, no, take the chances. Things are going good. We need this first. We got to hold on to this first. And about it was on the uphill. It would be the second half of the course. All of a sudden, it got really hard to keep the thing going straight, and I thought that I was pushing too hard, and I thought something in my suspension had let loose because I mean it to me it felt like everything I had from left to right all the time, just to keep it going in a straight line. And I didn't know what was going on there, but you're not going to stop and think about it.
No.
And thank God the course didn't last because it was so mentally draining that something wasn't working correctly, and it was causing me to just steer all the way left, all the way right, full bump to bump, back and forth, and then constantly be touching the rear steer to try and get the vehicle to go where I want it to go. I get back into the pits, and everybody's coming over and congratulating me. They're like, wow, that was an amazing run. That was a great run. That's going to be the fastest, all this. And I'm just hopeful that it was a good run. To me, it felt like I was really fighting hard. It turns out it was the fastest run that day. Brandon Davis I think Daniel, a couple other racers come over, and they're like, Nick, something I think's broke. We were hearing some huge bangs, so really look it over. Something's going on. I don't know if your rear end let go or your axle or gears or transfer case or something, but and I said, well, I honestly never heard anything. I never heard nothing. They're like, well, we're just telling you, even when you were driving into the pits, there was big bangs going on. So the racing's done for that day. I ended up winning Hill 2. Things were good. I go back to the pits. I actually pack up and go back a little early because the more to think about it, I'm thinking, well, that could have been why I couldn't hold it running straight. It's because something was going on. I get back to the pits. I believe there's still a couple bouncers racing. I jack it up. I push on the one rear tire. It's good. I push on the other. Its driver's side rear spins just like the week before where I broke the axle. So right then and there, I knew, oh man, I broke that axle.
When
Started.
when you were going up the hill, of course, I was standing right next to the ledge, filming, and like we were all none of us knew that anything was wrong, like at all either. After the fact, and then later on that evening, they're like, "Nick's broke," and I was like, "What? How, like he got the fastest time on the hill? How's he broke?" And and then somebody showed me the some of the pictures of you guys working on the buggy, and I was like, "Oh no!" Like, how did that even happen?
So I believe it broke right. I haven't got to watch any of the footage up in slow mo yet, but I believe it broke right after the ledge on the uphill. So right as soon as I crested the hard part, probably when I landed, it broke, and then I was everybody be able to get up the rest of it in 3-wheel drive,
Yeah,
and then I was coming down. And why I know that it was broke when I was coming down is because every time I hit the brakes, it would almost kick sideways. And I had to go down extremely fast because I couldn't hit the brakes because the buggy would want to turn sideways on me,
yeah.
because it had one freewheeling tire. But anyway, we got back, had a scare because I got back and I started going through everything. When I realized I had that broken axle, I had went in my trailer, which I had thought I brought a complete full set of spare axles. I have 2 different axle links in the front, and I have 1 axle length in the back. So I get into my trailer, and I'm looking for this axle where all my parts are, and I can't find the axle. And I'm looking and looking and looking, and I dig everything out, and I look through everything, and I'm like, there is no axle in here. So I call my mechanic, and my mechanic says, no, Nick, no, you have an axle there. It's sitting right here on the floor. Remember, we tried to use it, and we couldn't get it in because the splines were twisted so bad. And you said, we're not using this. This is no good. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yes, I do. So that's when the stress went really high. And I was like, now what do? I do not have a spare axle. So a little bit of thought. I put a message onto the drivers group there. We have the drivers group, that everybody in the series and racers, and I don't know who was all in it, but there's a lot of people that are in it. And I put a message on there that said, hey, I broke an axle. If anybody has one, need some help. And about that time that I put that on there, the race was getting over with. I had the old axle out, the broken out, and my hand was too big to get into the tube. I can't get my hand in the tube to pull the other one out. So I was disassembling the opposite side to be able to push it through, with the jack handle. And about that time, people started showing up. And I don't know how many people showed up and how many people there, but I am not exaggerating. At one point in time, there was over 25 people that were all working on buggies in my tent. Johnny Gibbs and Blake, those 2 guys had all the parts I needed, but because of they run different um, they run different knuckles. I could only use both those guys forfeited. Johnny Gibbs forfeited an inner axle shaft, and Blake uh, forfeited outer an outer axle shaft, yokes, and joint in order to get me to going. And those guys were not broke. They literally gave up their running bouncers and them being in the race so I could compete. So if it wasn't for them, I would not even been able to run the second round at all. Um, so that was pretty crazy for them to do
That's
something like that.
and that shows. I mean, that just shows how everybody knows how important. Like, it's a lot of work. This season's a lot of work. It's a lot of travel, a lot of expense, a lot of work, and that just shows that they understand the importance of it. Um, they wasn't going to let you not at least have a shot. After
Yeah,
everything you've done this year. So that, I mean, yeah,
yeah,
I seen the pictures and it looked like I, I, it looked like a daggone junkyard over there. Everything just taken apart on stands, and I was like, what in the world? And then after everybody told me, they were like, yeah, Johnny and Blake took their stuff apart so he could run. And I was like, holy crap, that is one of the coolest things that is. We all hate that it happened, obviously, but it is one of the coolest things that has happened in a long time.
it was something. And then there was so much to it. So Jake builds all Jake Pike buggies are built very similar. I believe they all have the same center section widths in the back, and I want to say the same offsets in the front because they're running Ford motors. So what that means is the axle lengths are all the same. Now, axle types might be different, and that may affect things before because each person uses their own knuckles. Like, for instance, Jay Storts uses Bubba Bacon's knuckles. Johnny uses Reject Fab knuckles. Nick and Blake use Spider Tracks knuckles. So each one of those knuckles accept a different wheel bearing
Hmm.
and a different outer, and can only hold like I'm told that I can't fit a 1550 joint in mine, and Blake can't fit a 1550 joint in his because the Spider Tracks are very small and tight knuckles. We only can use 1480s. So that's why we had to use Johnny's inner axle, because Johnny has this massive, I don't know what it is, but it's literally the size of, like one of them small footballs. That's how big his outer stub shaft is. I mean, I've never seen anything that big before, but that's what Johnny has on his outer, but his inner axle is the same size as mine.
Okay.
And then Blake uses Spider Tracks, which is it's the same size outer axle shaft as the inner one. But he has U joints instead of CV. He runs Spider Tracks axles and U joints, and I run RCV. Anyway, so that's that. Everybody helped. Matt Holt, I got to thank him an awful lot. He was one of the first guys over there, and he literally just brought. He must have brought his whole garage with him because he had every tool, every bolt, every specialty tool that we needed, everything over, and just dived in and said, let's do it. Don't worry about it. I mean, just started taking things apart. So a big thank you to him. And I mean, there's so many more. There's Jay Storts. I mean, the Kason boys, Blake and his crew. Johnny was in there. Wrench. There's so many people, and it was overwhelming, to be honest with you. When I work on stuff, I'm very meticulous. I'm probably deadly slow, but I'm very meticulous. All my parts are clean, set out. I inspect everything, and this was not that. This was balls to the walls. I mean, some stuff was floating in the air and being grabbed by other people and being, run in. And though it felt like we accomplished a lot really fast, we did assemble and disassemble it 3 or 4 times before we got it right.
That's so. we were over. I was helping Nathaniel Bell. He had decided he has notorious transmission troubles. I think it's due to a heavy right foot, and so we had decided going into the weekend he was going to run 2 runs Friday. We were going to take the transmission out, completely rebuild it, put all new parts in, and then put it back in for the Saturday run. And we were over there, started at like 4:30, 5 o'clock working on it. And he was running around crazy. I was like, Nate, slow down. Slow down. We've got time. We've done this 1,000 times. But just the pressure and the nerves and the what ifs. Man, it's so easy to let that stuff creep in. But if you'll just sometimes just slow down and like, okay, let's just do it right. Because I think we had his transmission back apart at least once. Something we've done, like I said, 100 times. Just
Oh
the
yeah.
the excitement of it, and you, like you said, it's easy. You get too many people around, like appreciative of the help. Don't get it wrong, but you get too many people around, too many things going on, stuff gets missed.
Yep. Another thing is that's worth mentioning is that Jay had broke his rear drive shaft. He literally had twisted it off on hill 2, and he had already loaded it and strapped it down in the trailer. I don't know the exact story. This is just the way I understand it. When Cody Cason happened to realize that he was leaving and said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I broke." He's like, "No, no, no, get that thing out. We'll fix it." And he called me up and he says, "Cody says we're gonna get this, or you think we can fix it?" I'm like, "Yeah, bring it over, Jay. Bring it over. Back it right in my tent here next to mine." I'm like, "We'll see what we can do. We got all kinds of extra stuff." And and I said, "We already got Johnny's and Blake's buggies. They're out of the running because of the parts we stole off it. Surely one of those drive shafts ought to fit on yours." Or you know what I mean? Because again, it's a pike. They're pike buggies, and they're all built very similar. Um, and then something else important to this too is Jake Pike is in the background. And I mean, he's the one that's calling. Like he's calling and texting everyone. He's calling and texting my wife, myself, Johnny, Blake, Jake, and he's telling everybody directions. He's like, "You need Johnny's inner stub on his rear axle, and you need Blake's outer U-joints and yokes on, and axle on his to repair Nick." And then he's saying you should be able to take Blake's front with Johnny's rear drive shaft, put them together, and to fit on Jay's. You know, he's like messaging us this. What it reminded me of is like a cookbook.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you need these, you need this, you need this, you need this to make this work. So we're doing that, and of course, all of us are busy, and so my wife's just doing what I call like the dispatching. She's taking all the calls and relaying them to us of what we need to do. Anyway, we do get mine assembled, and in the meantime, Jeremy Witt, the Kason boys, that whole group from over there come over, and they're helping Jay. They're working on Jay's, and they run into this, and I said, "Jay, I have 2 complete drive shaft sets, brand new, never used, in the front of my trailer for my machine. Go in there, grab both of them." I said, "Just grab both of them, bring them out here, and see which one works." They get them both out, and I mean they're working on it for a while, and they're like, "Yeah, they're literally both too long." And I said, "Well, take the short one." I don't even know if I said it. I said, "Do whatever you got to do, make it work." And they're like, "You don't care if I cut it?" I'm like, "No, I don't. You need to at least be able to run."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Same situation I'm in here. So they took that drive shaft. They ended up cutting it and making it fit, and got him going. Unfortunately, they must have been off a little bit because it was a little. I guess it was like 1 inch short. How much they shortened it, and then it pulled out on his next run. But anyway, we all got fixed. We all got fixed, and we all got to run the next day. And if it wouldn't have been for all that, myself and Jay Storts would have never got to run at all on Saturday.
Yeah, there's for you guys. There's some videos out. I think there's some videos of you and Matt on Rock Racing TV and some other places, and there's all kinds of pictures on different social channels. Y'all want to go check that out? There's tons of pictures and videos and stuff from all that happening. Um, it was pretty cool to see, man. It's cool to see everybody pull together like that. You don't get that in a lot of other sports. It just everybody says rock racing is a family, and it's times like that when you see you see that come out. So
Yeah.
run us into run 3 of the weekend.
Run three. Run three. Uh, refresh my memory. What place did I get on run three?
3, you got 47 points, so you'd have been second.
Okay. Um, trying to think of hill three.
That's the one where you come up the
Oh, I hit the rock and jumped the rock.
you come up you come up the rock ledge, and then instead of going out the top, you have to turn and go back down the hill.
Yep. Okay. Um, run three. I mean, run three. Okay. After run two, once I settled down, I there were some things that just didn't make sense about my run. And no. Okay, run three is the beginning of the day on Saturday,
Yes,
the
yes.
first run.
First run on
Okay.
Saturday.
Yep. So that morning, did all my checks, fuel with fuel, pressure check, bolt checked. I did that all early in the morning, like 6:30 or so. I started all that. Did everything, went through, didn't find any damage, anything wrong with the buggy. It seemed good. Got over there. I have a very specific tire pressure that I run that I found that's if I go 1 psi less, I usually lose tires, and if I can go up to 3 psi more for to prevent extreme tire damage if the course has got really sharp ledges or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But every psi I go, I lose handling and traction more and more and more. And this is just something I found in research, and it has nothing to do with the tire. It applies to the weight and the buoyancy of the tire.
Yep.
I think I talked about it in the past, actually using the suspension of the tire as well.
Yep.
So that's really important to me and something that I'm really on all the time. Anyway, course 3, I go up there. I race my race. And do a good job. But I come out and I am frustrated because it just felt like my tires were not on the ground. Really fought to keep the machine going where I wanted. I convinced myself that I was not overdriving, that the machine was not going where I wanted it to. And when you get done, you're all full of adrenaline and a little bit overwhelmed and everything like that. And I was like, don't make any adjustments. Get a clear head. Think about this before you make any adjustments. So I don't know. A half an hour goes by after the first run, and I'm like, you know what? I better check my tire pressure. Something's not right. It didn't feel right, and I was really, really trying not to be upset with my suspension because I just felt like the buggy did not handle well. And I went back to the machine, and I'm like, yeah, let's just check this tire pressure. I put the gauge on and hit it, and it was 7 psi high, which is just outrageous. And I was like, how can that be? How can that be? And then I checked the next tire, and it was like 7.5 psi higher than it was supposed to be. And I checked the next tire, and it was like 6.5. And I checked the next tire, and it was 7 psi. And I'm like, surely nobody come over here and was hiding and pumping my tires up.
Yeah.
That's extremely unlikely and can't be. And then I realized as I'm standing there in the sun sweating that when I set my tire pressure in the morning, it was probably 45 degrees, and it was in the dark. And I literally had drove out there and parked my, it's parked dead in the sun, and now it's about 80 degrees. Um, those tires had warmed up, the air pressure in the inside had expanded, and that changed my tire pressure. And I never caught it till after my run. So
That's
I was,
yeah, that's
yeah,
something you don't think about, but in the temperature makes a big difference in that. And I would have never on a,
and I gotta say this too is that I have no idea if this stuff is the difference between me winning and losing. I have no idea that. There might, like, for instance, I don't know what Wade's doing. He might set his tire pressure at the beginning of the year and still beat me all the time. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just said this is stuff that affects me mentally, and I want right and perfect. So I don't want everybody going out there and spending a ton of time with their tire pressures thinking that they're either they're getting a big competitive edge or not. I just know for myself, I feel that it makes a big difference.
it
Um,
does, and I completely agree with you because we even in the razors we have the same thing. We have a number that we have a minimum number, and it keeps us from busting wheels. And then we're kind of the same way. If the course is real rocky or something, we'll pump them up a little bit more. But we like to run them, pretty well as low as we can, um, with saving the tire and the wheel because you
yeah.
can tell a big difference in your steering. So, I mean, little stuff like that's where your halves and tenths of a second are. I've
Yep.
always believed that.
So then there was that. Then I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, oh man, how much did this mess me up? And I'm like, this just makes perfect sense because those things were just carrying over every little rock that they'd hit. No, they were just bouncing everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was that. That was a big mystery solved, and again, probably solved too late. But that was hill 3. So
Yeah, it still ended up with a good, a good finish. You had a 81 to 76. So I mean, you were right there, but it
yep,
it did it did look. We talked a couple weeks ago about how your buggy a lot of times looks more in control than some others.
yep,
That one it did look a little extra bouncy.
yep.
So
And it was. I come into that when I come into that on the third hill. My goal. Everybody was asking me about why I hit the rock so hard. Or what my plan was is to hit the rock probably 2 times as fast as what I was going. But when I come around the corner, I made it. My butt of my machine, my rear end, it was skipping, and it was skipping, and it would not. I was giving it gas, and it was not settling in. It just kept skipping. And right before I hit the rock, which I wanted to be on the throttle, have the rear end squatted, the front end high, and I mean just sail off that thing. What my goal was is hit the rock and to land, halfway to that road up there, all the way a considerable amount farther than everybody, way way up there. And it didn't go like that at all. With my rear end skipping over, I kept trying to gas it to get the back to settle down and point straight and the front lift up, and it wouldn't. And I was already carrying a decent amount of speed by the time I got up to it. When I got up to it, I just had to hit it and keep going with it. So that was why the big hit and kind of flailing through the air sideways and all that, because that was not the way I wanted to hit it.
yeah, you put a pretty good
Didn't slow
scare
me
in us.
down.
You put a pretty good scare in us coming over that rock.
um, but it didn't slow me down too much.
I
I
want to
was
ask you one quick question on run 3. So
sure
I can't remember where you were in the running order, um, but the very
halfway.
first the very first competitor, Brandon. went the wrong way on course. And then we
Yes, sir.
had another DC Thompson went the wrong way on course. Now I know you know your course. I know you do. But how unnerving is that? To me, that was always the worst. Watching somebody go the wrong way would put it into my head, be like, oh no, which way am I supposed to go? Is that even a thought, or are you like, what are they doing? They're silly. They shouldn't be doing that. Like,
No,
does
no,
that affect you at
that's a
all?
huge thought. Yeah, big time. Hugely, hugely. That is that is one of the hardest things of the racing is memorizing the course. And it's gotten easier, but what hasn't gotten easier is the confidence that I'm memorizing the correct course. I want to say 4 or 5 times this year I've memorized the wrong course and only found out about it because somebody in front of me that I was watching went went on the correct course, and I'm like, "Hey, look at that! They're not supposed to go that way, right?" And everybody looks at me like, "What?" And then to realize that I just walked the wrong course 3 times the night before.
The wrong way.
So,
Yeah.
so for me, yes, it's it's very overwhelming and an extreme amount of stress there
Yeah.
because I constantly feel like I'm going to be that guy.
That would be the struggle for me, sitting down there, knowing the course, and then watching people go the wrong way. It would just put an extra little uh-oh in my head. And we were up there videoing, and as we're videoing, I try not my best to not get involved in stuff like that. Like, if you're going the wrong way, I'm sorry you went the wrong way. But I felt so bad for Brandon, especially him being the first one. I tried to get his attention, and I was like, "Hey, you're going the wrong way. Go over." And well, he moved over. Uh, he misunderstood what I was trying to tell him. I was trying to tell him to turn right and go on the road that he was supposed to go on. Well, he scooted a little right on the hill, but we did get him up
Oh
the hill.
yeah.
We did get him up the hill, I guess, because as soon as he went over, it was shot straight up it, and we're like, "Oh no!" And then DC done the same thing, and finally, the dust was so bad he had to shut his buggy off to let the dust clear so he could see what he was doing. And I said, I finally got his attention. I was like, DC, you've been on this hill for 20 minutes. Um, let's go this way, the right way now. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, you're going the wrong way. And then he just quit. He's like, I'm over it. Of course, his
Yeah.
buggy, I think, had heated up. I think he said it was 280 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he ended his run there after he realized what he was doing. But yeah, that would be, it's so hard. Um, and even I was watching the amateur class, and when we film, I like to watch at least the first person go, and then try and find my spot, like where I'm going to go. That way, I'm not in course or in the way. And the poor amateur class on Thursday, the first four people in the class all went on a different course, and I just stayed completely off course, out of the way. I'm like, I'm not getting run over by these guys. So that's the hard part. I wish there was a better way for us to market, because that shouldn't
It
be it shouldn't be an issue knowing where you're going.
it is, and it's
But I don't know how to do it with the
a
course
lot of people
crossing.
don't see a lot of people don't see how much time we spend with the courses and analyzing them. And maybe something that I could see that could be better in the future is the flags. And I know everything's not perfect. I know Bill. I'm very thankful for all the work that Bill and Clyde do and everything like that. This is not a dig in them anyway, but when those flags don't match, that's a confidence killer to what the map says.
Yeah,
And I mean, you can ask, and I don't know about you, but I've been wrong enough in my life that when I ask, I'm asking because I'm unsure. And when somebody tells me, there's still a twinkle of doubt there.
Yeah.
Even if they tell me that, yeah, you're right, like, well, why does that not match? Why is it showing over here? Because the flag, because we don't have as many flags as what we need, or the right one. So that's something that it's hard on me personally. Um,
No.
just because you fight so hard to go the right way, you can't race if you're racing the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It. I don't
but
know.
thank
That was
God I
always.
didn't mess any of that up.
Yeah. No, you did good. So there's three. Pretty good run. Going into run four, and just by seeing Brandon and DC go the wrong way on run three and go up what you guys would have been climbing on run four, um, we were questioning how many people were even going to get up that, because that ledge has been there. We've been going up it for years, but it gets worse every year. And the fourth hill, it was said up there 3 or 4 times where I was at. They're like, "This is finals. This is a test on machine," because a lot of people, like buggies, were breaking, the UTVs were breaking. Um, that park, and I wish the spectators, even the people there at the park, even the spectators watching in person, you cannot look at those hills at Wildcat and respect them fully until you go over there and walk on them.
I agree.
The perception of the severity of them hills, and I think it's the color. It makes them look, from a distance, makes them look smoother, but they are not smooth. And 4 runs at that place is a lot, but run four proved to be a lot for a lot of people. And we'll let you tell us your experience with that run.
Um, I was really excited for Run 4. I thought I had the thing in the bag, the race in the bag. I knew that top hill was extreme, and I always feel like if the hills are extreme, I have the biggest advantage out of everybody because of my machine. It being light, sticky, it's just a fantastic machine. So I was really excited to get up to that and just walk right up it. My plan was to go right up there, bump my front end up over, and just gas it and run the rear end into the wall, go right up over the top. I really wasn't, and I was going to go to the right hand side. That was my goal if I wouldn't have had all these busted axles. Um, so anyway, I take off from the starting line. I go flying through. Um, as far as I'm concerned, the first portion was perfect. It couldn't have been any better. Fast, right to it. 2 ups, didn't sky it out too much or too little. Landed, took off. I run into the rock wall on the first uphill. I hit it right where I wanted to hit it. And I feel like the axle broke before I even got to the lip. Because to me, it felt like the machine popped into neutral. It just revved out. And I knew something was wave line. And I tried a little bit there back and forth and got sideways and got right on the balance point and tipping. And that's when I realized, because of roost that flew by me, that something, the tires were working. But something wasn't right. And I just kept working the rear steer until I got the back end of a fly over into the dirt and get me traction and kind of boost me up the hill. I got up the hill, got around top, and I was trying to just go, I don't care what's wrong with it, I'm gonna still go fast. And I come flying down that hill, and I almost lost control because when I hit the brakes, the buggy completely pivoted sideways, and then I had to gas it, and when I gassed it, it pivoted sideways as well, the other way. So that was that was a big shock, and I kind of avoided a major crash there both times. Get down to the bottom of the hill, and I'm like, okay, Nick, there's no more racing involved. Now you just have to finish. So I go up and over the rock and get up there, and I know that I can make that slab rock as long as I just have a little bit of momentum and get that front tire over. I hit that, and I ended up getting it right away. I think the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and I got up there, and now that big obstacle automatically went right because that was my original plan. And as soon as I got up to it, realized that, well, that's the tire that's not pulling, the one that when you go through that to the right. So you have no chance over there because it's going to throw you up, and tilt the buggy to the right to land on the front right tire, and there's nothing to pull you.
Yeah.
So I backed up, and what did I do? I had my rear steer turn and like cross cut across to the other side of the wall there, and I lined up with it and just thought, I gotta hit it. I gotta hit this, and I should go right up it. I really didn't think it was that extreme, and I really would have went up that. I would have bet anything if I had all four tires, I would have went up that like nothing.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I hit it with three tires, and the problem is when I backed all the way up and gave it gas, it couldn't get going. If I would have had 1 more mile an hour, I would have made it up it. But I just couldn't get going enough. I gassed it, and I felt the tires just blow right off, so I couldn't just stab the throttle and hold it wide open. I had to feather it to just get as much momentum as I could, and that was the best I could do. It hit the rock, it went up. I let it go as far as it could. It was going to roll over, and I knew when I hit my rear steer that I wouldn't roll, but all my momentum forward was done, and now we were just getting ready to line back up for another hit. Hit my rear steer. The machine didn't roll to the right, went back to the left really fast. Wasn't able to keep going, so then it was damage control after that, just trying to keep it upright. My front right hit, I gassed it, tried to pull out, ended up going off the cliff. At that time, there was no fear. I lost my complete temper, and I was just terribly angry because I knew the odds were really, really bad against me, and that I might have just lost this whole thing. My front was stuck, and I was just gassing it because I knew that it would pull me back down, and I couldn't figure out why I was gassing it, and it wasn't just flipping back down, and that was because it was on that broken axle first, and then it went to the side with the good axle. When the side with the good axle did hit, it pulled me right back down. When that back hit, apparently the moment that back hit, that the second RCV axle snapped, and I just kept trying, and I was never able to get back up the slab rock to get back up there to try again. And that was a lot of emotions and overwhelming feelings there, even now going through that.
It
That's the first time my machine's ever let me down. As far as I can remember, that's the first time my machine's ever let me down ever. So
it
pretty.
when we all realized you had broke. Of course, I was there at, like I said, at the Bad Rock or whatever, and we realized you were broke going up the other hill, and everybody up there was like, as long as he's got three wheels, he's getting up this. And when you came and shot it, everybody's instant reaction was how, because we thought you were up it. Like just the way it looked, we were like, "Holy crap! He just climbed this in 3-wheel drive." And then it just, man, the roll over the hill was just devastating. And um, I'll tell you something else. Wade was standing right there with us, and me and Cooper Bentley had just had a conversation about um, how Wade. I mean, obviously Wade wants to win. You want to win, but we had just had a conversation about Wade, and he's like, "Can you imagine how Wade would feel if something happens to your run and you couldn't complete it?" He said, "Could you imagine the pressure that's going to put on Wade to complete it? Like, it would have been easier, I think, for him had you finished the run." And that was 10 minutes before your run or whatever. Me and Cooper had that conversation, and then that happened to you, and Wade just walked off the hill with his hands on his head. Like, he was as devastated about that as you were, because I think he wanted to try. He wanted to win.
Yeah, we all want good racing.
Yeah, he wanted to win the right way, and not that they're not that that's wrong, but he wanted to try and actually outrun you. But he was devastated. Probably, I mean, not as much as you, obviously, but right there with you. Because he turned and instantly walked away, and he walked all the way down the hill with his hands on his head, like in devastation. So um, that was a big moment, and man, I absolutely hate it for you after the season you had. Um, Another foot,
What's
and
that? I didn't hear you there.
I said another foot, and you'd have had, you know, everything's
Oh
in the
yeah.
bag.
Yep.
But
Yep.
um,
That's racing.
it is,
That's racing.
it
So
is.
I'm still working through it, my feelings and how to feel. I know the right way. I know I have nothing to be ashamed of. I can't believe I'm even here and thankful. It hurts. It hurts because there's so many people out there. There's probably 200-300 people to help me get this far. I mean, I don't know how many fans and family and friends, all the people that invested their time, and I feel like I let them all down. And I mean, I know I didn't. I know it's just racing, but I don't like to hurt or upset anybody, just like nobody does. But I can't essentially control those feelings. I just keep reminding myself that the best I could, and that's it. And nobody, and Wade, I got nothing but good things to say about him. I mean, he must have come over by me 5 times yesterday, and told me how sorry he was that happened, and he knows that feeling and how terrible it is when you're taken out due to a mechanical failure, and I mean I know that too.
Yeah, it was.
It's just
Out at Wade went through basically the exact same thing at Disney a couple years ago when he was racing against Timmy. He went into
yep.
finals with I think they were within 2 or 3 points, and he broke a tie rod, something silly, and there he's out. Um, and would have won, I do believe, would have won that year. So he's been there. He knows the feeling. Um, but dude, I know it sucks. Everybody always says you have to lose one to win one.
Oh yeah, and I just keep reminding myself like that. I mean, look at all the. If you compare the amount of time that people have in the sport, I'm already been given way more than what I deserve anyway.
You are
You know,
you are ahead of schedule, I feel like.
y- yes, and I just keep reminding myself that there's a lot of people that have been doing this and that deserve, that have put a lot more time in, and I've gotten a lot. I got nothing to be upset about at all. I'm very thankful for where I'm at and what I've done and all that. I mean, look at Wade. He has a significant more time in. I mean, he just deserves that championship. He's a guy that he is a guy that deserves it. He put just as much more time in than I have trying to win these championships. So,
it it's a rough way to end the year, but I mean you can't say that you didn't give it ounce of energy, or do absolutely everything you could do. Um, Nevertheless, I mean, second, I would love a good second place after some of the seasons that we've had. Um, so, man, yeah, congratulations still on a great year, an
Well,
awesome
thank you.
year, a lot of podium finishes, a lot of trophies. Um, I feel like
Heck yeah.
you've put yourself very much in the middle of the conversation, and as long as you'll keep coming back, I think that's where you'll be. And I don't know what the plans are for next year for anybody. I'm assuming I'm assuming you'll be back right in the middle of it, and next year is going to be fun. Um, if everybody returns who was in the chase this year, and there's some people on the sidelines currently that may be coming back, and that's going to make for a really interesting year, and I hope that everybody continues to drive, because man, there was some fast. You guys were fast this year. You and Wade and even Daniel. Daniel Heckley put on some shows. Clint Garrison stepped his game up this year and really competed. And I hope everybody's back next year, because it's going to be wild.
Yep.
And
Yep. No, I hope so too. And I don't know if you got to watch the live feed. What the live feed production for the finals
I've not
was
seen any
by
of it.
far the best it's ever been. All the add-ins, the video clips, the times, the points. I mean, I don't know how you could get any better. You'll see what I mean when you watch it.
I
It's
usually go
gotta
back
be
and
it's
try.
gotta be the point where it's so entertaining that for people that aren't involved in the sport when they watch it, because you can know. Now you know where the points are at for people. Now you know where the times are at for different people, and now you can get to know your drivers of the machines. Where in the past, it was just the machine out there running and a name.
I
And I think
usually
that's a
try and
big
go
deal
back.
for people.
Yeah, I usually try and go back Monday and at least watch some of. I can't watch all of it for three days of solid racing, but I usually try and go back Monday night and watch what I can of the live feed to help us prepare for our Tuesday shows that we do. And I have heard a lot of people saying that the production value has really stepped up. Um, so everybody is up in their game. Of course, guys, if you can't come to the races, you can watch the races on Rock Racing TV on YouTube and Power Sports Nation TV. It is a actual streaming channel. You can check that out live on several of the different streaming platforms. Um, so we're moving up in the world, and it is thanks to um, the quality of racing that we have, and that is you and Wade and Clint and Daniel and Brandon and the staples of the sport who have been around. Johnny Gibbs brings excitement wherever he goes, um, and people love to watch it, and that's good. I hope we keep every year. I get these questions every year. Oh, are we going to race next year? Oh, rock racing is dead. Oh, the rock bouncers are nobody watches it anymore. Um,
I'd like to speak on that. I disagree 100%.
I do too.
I think the sport is right now. I think it's. I'm not saying it's peaked, but we are at the highest point that I believe it's ever been.
Rock
That's what
racing,
I think, and I think it's still going up at a pretty sharp angle.
it is. I'll say this to that. Rock racing does have a huge turnover rate. Um, it seems like a lot of guys come in and they'll race 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then I mean it's expensive sport. It's a physical sport. It's a lot of work. So you get 3 or 4 or 5 years out of a guy, and then you get new blood coming in. and I think the fans are the same. I think there's a lot of fan turnover, but that doesn't mean numbers are going down at all. I think a lot of people who maybe used to watch maybe aren't as active, but we're gaining new people all the time. And the Wildcat crowd, I will say this, was way better than it was last year at this same event.
Yep.
I would like to see more, but it was at least double to triple the attendance we had at our last finals.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah, yeah, I don't think rock racing is dead by no means, and
The,
I think it is on the up. And like I said, that's due to you guys.
regarding the park, did you notice how much more seating they added from last year?
Yes,
They cut the whole top of that mountain and made a whole,
yes.
seating and viewing area, and then a second row down from it. Where last year I think they only had 3 rows, now they have 5.
The
I
Terry and the
mean, there
people
isn't a bad seat in the house.
Terry and the people at Wildcat do an amazing job with that place. Um, the vendor area where where the food was and everything, they keep improving all of that. They keep trying to make new seating areas. And listen, there's not a better view of the race course, I don't think, than up on those ledges that they cut. That's where you get a little bit more of a perspective on the
Yeah, it's
hills.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, they do a great job there, and hopefully we'll be back there next year for finals. I'll be anxious to see what our schedule's usually released for the next season around PRI. So I'll be anxious to see what our schedule looks like for next year. Hopefully we'll be back there. I don't know of many other parks that could support a four hill finals. So there's not a lot of other options, but there is some. Um, but we'll see how that shakes out at around PRI time. What is your plans? Are you going to be attending the Battle of the Bouncers?
Is well, there's a disagreement going on with my axles, and I have to have axles in order to make to race.
Obviously.
Uh, that disagreement is in the works of getting handled by other people, not myself. Um, but hopefully that works out, uh, and I just hope it works out.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all I can say on it right now. Um, but we'll see. That's the plan. I'm signed up.
Right on. Well, hopefully you get to make it to that event. Uh, Buddy, we'll end the show here. Hang on for just a minute. I want to talk to you just a little bit after we get done. Um,
So it's good.
but yeah, congratulations on a great season. I know it's not what you wanted, but there's a lot of people who would love to be in your position. So always think about that. Man, it's been a great year. Hopefully, we'll get if you get to run Battle of the Bouncers, we'll do a show around it. And anytime, buddy, give us a call and we'll let the people know what's going on.
You bet. Appreciate you.
Right on.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, guys, for checking out Overdrive this year with Nick Reich. We're not done. There'll be a few more episodes this season, so be on the lookout for that. And we appreciate everybody. Go check out Nick's socials, Fordzilla, Behind Bars Racing, YouTube, Facebook. He's everywhere. He's not hard to find. Check him out. And if you've not subscribed to Out the Top, please do that as well, guys. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.